Yo, what's going on, guys? Today, I'm gonna be ranking the Halloween franchise. Um, all 13 movies, we're gonna be ranking them from worst to best. Now, I already did my spoiler review for Halloween Ends. So if you guys haven't seen that yet, um, you guys can go check that out. But yeah, this will include Halloween Ends as well. All the movies we're gonna be ranking them today. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. I was planning on doing this for a while now, but I never got the chance to. But literally, this franchise has been is it's been a blast. Honestly, like I really do like this franchise, even at its worst. This franchise is my second favorite franchise, horror franchise. So yeah, we're gonna be ranking all of them. Hopefully you guys enjoy. Like and subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and we're gonna get right into it. So at number 13, for me in my ranking, last place is Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Now, this is a film that I know I feel like the Rob Zombie movies are kind of divisive, if anything. Um, there's some people who really enjoy them and, they can get into them. But me personally, I couldn't really get into the Rob Zombie movies. Like I just think that, you know, they these movies just weren't that as good as all the other Halloween movies that had came before it. And I just think it's like these movies are just the Rob Zombie movies. Both of them are just pretty dang bad. Um, but this movie's in 13th place for me because I just don't really like the whole ghost mom thing with with Michael Myers. Him having visions of his dead mom with the white horse and all that stuff. And they they turn what's this called? They turn Michael Myers into a hillbilly, and his mask is all torn up. Um, literally at one point in the film, he literally speaks as well, and it's like it's just it was just so weird. There was just so much dialogue in this movie that was just so bad and so like cheesy and cringy. Like I don't know. This film to me is just it's just like I just do not like it. I could barely even sit through it. Um, and there's a lot of the characters in this film that that we got introduced from in the first Rob Zombie Halloween. It's like they changed to completely different characters. Like like Dr. Loomis, like he is like he was a completely different character in the second film. Um, like he is, I don't even know. Like he went from being a protector to Laurie, and then he was just, and then in the second film he was just some like like I don't even know what he turned into. Like he was just some rich, um, greedy person just trying to like get fame off of Laurie's story. From he was basically just trying to sell all the books and whatnot, and he was just like trying. He was like he kind of like became a jerk. Like he was just like bossing everyone around, and like he was kind of useless and Rob Zombie's Halloween too. Like he really did nothing. And he was just I don't know, he just felt like a completely different character. Laurie as well, she felt completely different. I really don't understand like what they did with her character either. Like I honestly think that, just a lot of the characters just completely changed in this film. And they just the whole movie as a whole is just it's pretty bad. So that's why this movie is in last place for me. But yeah, I can't really stand this film to be honest. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, for me, it sucks. But in my 12th spot is Halloween Resurrection. Usually this film I feel like is last place for mostly everyone. But I think the only reason it's not last place for me, for me against um Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is because I feel like although Halloween Resurrection is bad, the whole, killing Laurie off in the opening scene, and then, a lot of the cringy dialogue and, action scenes in that film with like Busta Rhymes and, Michael Myers, like the way that whole fight sequence with him in the end where he gets electrocuted in his nuts and then he just like gets burned and electrocuted. That whole scene was just cringy as well. And like the whole movie as a whole, it just felt like some cheesy 2000 slasher flick. And it felt like they really went nowhere with that film. It felt so pointless. Um, but I still think it's somewhat entertaining. Yeah, I can still get a good laugh or some type of enjoyment out of it compared to Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Um, it's still somewhat enjoyable to me. So that's why I think Halloween Resurrection isn't last place compared to, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. But I still think this film is bad though. Like there's just so much, like I said, so much cringy dialogue in this movie, so much bad acting. Um, Literally just felt like a typical early 2000s slasher flick. It had no story, like they went nowhere with this film. It almost felt like so pointless to make this film in the first place after, ending off with H2O. Like they literally should have just left it there. But of course they have to ruin it with this film, doing that dumb retcon that, Michael Myers, that wasn't Michael Myers in H2O, that whenever Laurie chopped his head off, it was just some paramedic. Like that was just a dumb retcon. And like I don't know, man. This film is just bad. And like Busta Rhymes too, of course, that scene is cringy as well. Every like yeah, this movie overall is just a mess. But yeah, I think it's still somewhat entertaining to compare to Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, but this film ranks 12th place for me. And my 11th place is Rob Zombie's Halloween 1. Now, Rob Zombie's Halloween 1, I kind of, like, honestly, this movie, I kind of have, like, a mixed feeling on it because it's bad. It's, like, it's really bad. But it also, there's certain things that I enjoy in this film. Like, I honestly can appreciate the fact that, this film, I hear some people say that this film harped a little bit too much on the original Halloween from John Carpenter's. I honestly don't think so, to be honest, though, because I feel like with Rob Zombie's Halloween 1, and especially the second one, they took a completely different direction and didn't just completely just do the same thing as, the original Halloween 1 and 2 from John Carpenter's. I don't think, this film tried to do something new and it, had, Michael's backstory with him as a kid and showing his life and how his family is and how they treat him and him being bullied and all that stuff. And, him that all that stuff eventually turning him into a killer. And the only thing that I have a problem with that though is that Michael Myers doesn't need a backstory. He doesn't need a backstory. He doesn't need an explanation. And me personally, I have a big issue with that. Michael Myers is not supposed to be explained. He's supposed to be mysterious, and he's supposed to be just this, you know, pure evil essence that we see him as, because that's what he is. And I feel like the Rob Zombie movies just completely ruin his character. Like they try to explain him so much, and I'm just like, bro, like, what is this? Like, we don't need this. What is like, and I don't know. And there was just so much cringy dialogue, in this movie as well. I think it was worse than the second one, but this movie as well had a lot of cringy dialogue. But I think it's still more enjoyable than Halloween Resurrection though. Um, and the second Rob Zombie just because I think the story, that they had with Laurie's character, um, obviously it wasn't the same Laurie Strode played by Jamie Lee Curtis, but I think the actors who played this version of Laurie Strode did very well, and I actually do like the friends in this movie and the Rob Zombies version that we get introduced from in the first one. I think they honestly were pretty good as well. Um, and I think the just the whole story with Laura's character and the fight that her and Michael have at the end of the film is very good. Um, and I think Michael Myers too. I think he was still pretty hillbilly in this film, but he wasn't as much as the second one. Um, I think he was actually pretty intimidating because the actor who plays him, I think it's Tyler Mane, if I'm not mistaken. Dude was like what 6'10", I think. Like dude was a giant. He was a freaking tall Michael Myers, so he was pretty intimidating. And I think I like his version of Michael for that reason. But they almost try to humanize him as well, like in this film. I feel like that was a big issue I had. Like I said, trying to over explain Michael and you know, just yeah, all this stuff with this film. It's just like they try to make us feel bad for him. They try to make him seem more human, but that's not what Michael's character is. Like that's not who he is. So that's why this film ranks in 11th place for me. Um, but in 10th place, surprisingly for some of you, this might be a shock, but Halloween Ends is honestly in 10th place. Um, I honestly, it took me a while to figure out where I would even want to place Halloween Ends compared to the movies that are gonna be coming after this for my ranking. But I honestly think this is where I would put Halloween Ends in 10th place. I still think Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, Resurrection, and the first Rob Zombies are worse, but Halloween Ends is in 10th place for me. Like I said, I did a review on this film and everything like that. But I just think this film is it's pretty bad. Like it's pretty bad. This film felt like it just had no real drive or real direction. All right, my bad, guys. My AirPod died. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. But yeah, I felt like Halloween Ends. It had no real like direction where they were trying to go. Like I said, Halloween Ends felt like a standalone film. It literally did. And it's like it doesn't even make sense because like I said, if you're trying to conclude, your trilogy, you're supposed to, you know, actually, do that. Instead, I feel like this movie, what they were trying to do was just trying to they were like, oh yeah, let's do something else, and then at the end, let's just give the fans what they want. And I just felt like it just doesn't make sense. They focus on Corey Cunningham half this movie. We get introduced to his character. We kind of sympathize with him at first, and we kind of you know we kind of understand his character, and we get a feel for him. But then the direction they take with him, for in my opinion, I just don't like it. The whole oh my bad, but the whole like Corey when he encounters Michael in the sewers, and then Michael transfers evil or whatever. I don't even that whole scene was just weird, and then he starts becoming like Michael Myers. We see, and you know he starts getting more aggressive, and eventually becomes a killer. And him and Michael start doing this, you know, freaking tag team, and start killing people in the town. And it's just like, I don't know, bro. It was just so, this movie was just so weird. And I don't like it. I know some people do just because it's different, but for me personally, I feel like they draw the line here. Like they went there's you can try something different, but I feel like they literally blew it. They literally blew it. You know, they could have easily just, tried to. I feel like for me personally, I said this before in my spoiler review, but I feel like what they should have done was, they should have had, Corey, he should have like been just, bringing, people for Michael to kill, all the people that Corey hates, and he would lead them to Michael. Michael kills them, he gets stronger and whatnot, and then Michael betrays Corey, and then starts going out in the town killing again. I feel like that would have been better in my opinion. Like I felt like that would have been better, and also just shorten Corey's screen time as well, because we did not need to focus on him half the movie. Like literally, there were so many characters in this film that could have gotten more screen time, that you could have developed more, and I feel like they didn't do that. Like Hawkins and Lindsay, I wanted to see more of them. I wanted to see more of them. We didn't get anything, you know. And when we did see them, it was just whatever, you know. Like they were just wasted in my opinion. And there was a bunch of legacy characters in Halloween Kills that were wasted as well. They were just there to get killed off, and that's it. Like it's just I don't know, man. Like they focus on Corey half the movie, and that's why a lot of characters in Halloween Ends didn't get developed because of that. They could have shortened his screen time, and they literally make it pointless for us to focus on Corey half this movie in the first place, just simply for the fact that he literally gets killed off in the end. So the first half of this movie did not even matter. So, I mean, and, Michael Myers being weak as hell, getting overpowered by everyone, and, Allison being oblivious to everything towards Laurie and all this stuff. Like, it honestly, there's just so much things about this film that just bothered me, and I just hated it. Like, I honestly think, for me, I think the best parts about this film was the opening scene, the final fight with Michael and Laurie, and then, the when Michael finally dies, and that whole sequence. Everything else about this film though is terrible in my opinion. That's just how I feel. I know everyone has different opinions, but that's just me personally. So yeah, this is why Halloween Ends is in 10th place. And on to my 9th place, The Curse of Michael Myers, Halloween 6. Honestly, I feel like a lot of people may feel differently. Because I've seen some people say, like, oh, the Thorn trilogy is like the worst timeline, and I would take any timeline over this. But I honestly I feel the same. I feel that this trilogy, the Thorn trilogy, is bad too. But I think that Halloween 5 and 6, I feel like in my opinion are still better than Halloween Ends, the Rob Zombie films, and Resurrection. That's just my opinion, because they actually, at least they still feel like Halloween films, and they actually have Michael Myers in the films, and I feel like, they have, there's at least somewhat story to these, this timeline in this Thorn trilogy. So that's why I feel like I kind of appreciate the Thorn trilogy. However, 5 and 6 still aren't that high up on my rankings though. Like Halloween 6 is in my 9th place. And I just felt like, this film it could have been much better. I like, Michael Myers' mask. I think it was an improvement from Halloween 5, because in Halloween 5 he literally looks like an alien. That mask was just terrible. But
Yeah, the Halloween 6 mask was better. I think Michael Myers, he was more brutal. Um, and I like Paul Rudd, who plays Tommy Doyle. I think he was better than the Tommy Doyle in Halloween Kills. Um, and I like just the overall, the Halloween feel that you got in that movie, like the atmosphere, the tone. It was just, I like all of that. I just don't really like the whole, cult stuff, just in general though. Like I think this timeline is good for what it is, but I just the whole cult stuff is just, it doesn't do it for me, man. I just hate it. It just, like, like I said, when you try to over explain Michael Myers, for me that's a problem. It's kind of like with the Rob Zombie films, like they try to make us, they try to explain Michael's backstory and explain why he is what he is. And it's the same here. They're like literally pointing out that, Michael Myers was part of a cult and he's being controlled and whatnot. And, he has to kill his family in order to break the curse and whatnot. And it's just, I don't know, it was just so weird. And, they kill off Jamie and literally the opening scene, they give her like, a BS death, in my opinion. And, a lot of the characters in this film were forgettable. The movie is kind of like very, it's like very just like it's very slow paced. Like it's like very slow paced to me. And freaking just, I don't know, the whole Michael Myers, having a kid. And he's trying to kill his baby or whatever. He has to kill. Like, I don't know. I feel like that was just weird as well. And I don't know. This film, to me, is just it's pretty bad. Um, but I still appreciate just at least you know the only things I do like I said, is Paul Rudd as Tommy Doyle. I like you know Michael Myers, and how brutal he was. All the kills were good, and just the overall Halloween atmosphere, the tone, and all that stuff. But everything else, I just don't really like about this film. I just think this film's pretty bad as well, but it's not completely terrible. Um, so yeah, this is how I feel about Halloween 6. Um, and yeah, I think this is a good place for me to rank it. But in eighth place is Halloween 5. Halloween 5. Now here's where I was kind of contemplating. Like I was literally just thinking just so hard. Like where am I gonna rank Halloween 5 and 6? Because which one do I think is better? Overall. And I feel like with Halloween 5 and 6, it's always I always see different opinions and rankings on these films because I always see people. Some people think Halloween 5 is better, and some people think Halloween 6 is better. Me personally, I think Halloween 5 is better. Now, that I actually watched the films, back to back. I think Halloween 5 is better just because, you know, I just think the film, I like, just the overall, just, because I feel like they didn't overdo the whole cult stuff. This is where, in Halloween 5 we get introduced to the cult stuff and all that, but they didn't. I feel like they didn't overdo it, and I appreciate that. And I don't like that they killed off Rachel. I don't like that they have Jamie in the bed half the movie, and, and she's like she can't speak and whatnot, and just a lot of the comedic cringy moments, like the police officers, and whenever they come out of the house and that clown music is playing, like it's just cheesy cringy stuff like that. A lot of weird dialogue in that movie, but I just like the overall Halloween atmosphere. It's even like Halloween 6 has that tone and atmosphere too, the Halloween feel to it, but I feel like Halloween 5 really captures it really well. And I think that just as a film, Michael Myers, I do like him in this movie as well. Um, I just the whole the ending of the film where Jamie's she finally Michael finally comes after her, and that when he's like in the house and he's chasing her, and then freaking that basically the whole third act of the film with Jamie and Michael. I like that. um but I don't really like that just the fact that they literally replaced Rachel with Tina. I think Tina was like one of the most annoying characters in this franchise. um but however, I do think that I didn't mention this, but there was, I forgot what his name was, but in Halloween 6 there was that one dad. I forgot his name, but that one dad in Halloween 6 who got killed by Michael. He was like electrocuted, and then he like blew up and whatnot. First of all, that was an awesome kill. That was one of the best kills. But that dad deserved it in Halloween 6. He deserved to die because he was literally a freak. Like, he was literally a freaking asshole, bro. And he literally deserved that, bro. He was like one of the characters in this franchise where I'm just like, yeah, screw him. I don't care. Tina, though, she's the second worst character in this franchise. She was very annoying. I just hate that they replaced her with Rachel. They replaced Rachel with Tina. I just freaking hated that, you know. But and just the opening scene, where they, Michael Myers is like he's like floating over the water, after that explosion from Halloween 4, and he's like being held captive by this like freaking hillbilly, and he was just like, well, he was just in a coma for like a year, and then finally he gets up and he kills the hillbilly. And I that was just like that whole scene, the opening scene was just like very weird and cringy. I just hated it. I think this movie as a whole is like it's pretty mid of how I feel about it. There's some things I like about it, but I think it's still better than 6. I think it's still more watchable to me. But yeah, this movie's pretty bad too, though. But this is where I would rank it in 8th place. Um, so yeah. In 7th place would be Season of the Witch, Halloween 3, the film that probably I feel like more people honestly are coming around to Season of the Witch. To be honest, like, I think more, like, I feel like back then, obviously a lot of people hated this film, but I feel like now a lot of us have kind of came to, the fans have kind of came more to terms with this film. And honestly, I have too, because you know back then I remember watching, well, I'm not that old, but like when I was a kid, like 10 years ago, when I first was introduced to the Halloween movies and I started watching them, I remember watching Season of the Witch as a kid, and I'm just like, what is what is this? There's no Michael Myers or nothing. I thought this film was just terrible, but looking back, this film is actually pretty good. It's I think 7th place honestly is a good ranking, just because there's a few other Halloween movies I enjoy more, but I think this movie, it should have been a standalone film for sure. Like, it shouldn't have even been called Halloween 3. It shouldn't have even had the Halloween title in it at all. But I think the fact that they were trying to do something new at the end of the day, and it was supposed to just be its own thing, I can at least appreciate it for that. I can at least appreciate the fact that they tried to do something new, and this wasn't supposed to be like a continuation from the second, even if it was called Halloween 3. So it was just supposed to be its own thing, which is kind of like the difference between this movie and Halloween Ends, because I've seen fans compare Halloween Ends and this movie, but I think the difference is that, like I said, Halloween 3 was supposed to be its own thing. Halloween Ends is part of a trilogy, and it was supposed to be a conclusion to that, you know, the Blumhouse trilogy. So, the direction they took in Halloween Ends and all that stuff that they did just did not work. And it feels like a standalone film, which is a bad thing because it's not supposed to feel like a standalone film if it's supposed to be a conclusion to the trilogy. That's the difference between Halloween Ends and Halloween 3. But Season of the Witch, though, I think is very good. A lot of the characters, I like it. The whole Shamrock mask thing, I like, and just the concept of, like, the microchips in the mask, like, taking control of the kids and, all that stuff. The companies are trying to, like, stop that information from getting out there, and they have to, it just felt like a sci-fi kind of, like, movie, supernatural. I feel like it works as a standalone film. I feel like overall, a lot of the characters, like I said, I like them. The Shamrock music, I like it, of course. And I think this film is pretty good. I think it's pretty enjoyable. It's entertaining. And yeah, I think this film, it really did grow on me. So I think this is where I would have it in seventh place. But from here on out is honestly the films that I enjoy the most. So from 6 to number 1 is the films I enjoy the most. Because in 6th place, I would have Halloween Kills. Now, Halloween Kills is I honestly, when I first watched this film, I did not enjoy it. Halloween Kills, I felt like it was just, it felt just, like I just did not enjoy a lot of, the whole, mob thing and, Evil Dies Tonight and just like, just a lot of the dialogue in this film I just wasn't a fan of, and I still am not really, but I feel like this film, it grew on me. And I definitely think, this film is better than Halloween Ends. And a lot of the other films that are lower on my list. Halloween Kills isn't that bad. I see a lot of people hate on Halloween Kills, and that's fine. If you don't like the film, but it's not that bad though. I don't think it comes close to being as bad as like films like Halloween Resurrection, the Rob Zombie movies. Like Halloween Kills doesn't come close to being bad as those films. So that's why I think Halloween Kills, it I felt like it is a little overhated, but I understand there's fans who don't like it, but I'm just saying I don't think it's as bad, like I said, Resurrection, the Rob Zombie movies. I still think it's a pretty enjoyable film. Michael Myers being the main focus of this film, and him, going carnage and ham on this town, all the kills, the brutality. I mean, that was kind of the point of the film. It was called Halloween Kills for a reason, because that's what this film was going to be about. And I liked that, honestly. And the movie was about Michael and the town, and and how they were dealing with that, just that trauma and paranoia of Michael, and how they wanted to go stop him. And I like that concept, and I just think, this film as a whole, I think it was pretty good, and it was entertaining for what it was, and I I I really do like that ending scene where, Michael Myers gets back up and he kills everyone and just kills the whole mob. Although, yes, they did say Michael Myers was just a regular man, which we know he isn't, but I did like that scene, and just the whole movie as a whole. I think it was very good. It was very enjoyable to me. Of course, there was a lot of cringy dialogue in this film. There wasn't really any story, but I feel like the whole story aspect was the point. It wasn't supposed to be about that. It was supposed to just be about the kills and the town and all that stuff. That's why it's called Halloween Kills. So, me personally, I enjoyed this film for what it was, and I think it's a very good film. So, Halloween Kills It's in sixth place for me, and that's where I rank it. Now in fifth place, Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2 from John Carpenter's. Now this film is in fifth place for me. I really enjoy this film. Um, it is this film. It felt like a very good sequel to the. It feels like a very good sequel to the original Halloween. Like just my Laurie. We see how she gets attacked. After the event of Halloween '78, and she goes to the hospital. Um, and Michael Myers is going after her, and just a lot. I really do like a lot of the kills. Michael Myers was more scary. Um, of course, this film was more brutal and gory because you know this film was partially inspired by Friday the 13th Part 2, and that's why they kind of went more carnage and gory with this film. But I really appreciate it. I really do like it, and I think Michael Myers was probably more scarier in this film than he was in the original. Like Michael Myers, like he was just like really creepy, and Laurie, just her, how smart she was, and like the tactics she used to get away from Michael. The whole brother and sister aspect, that they reveal in this movie, which a lot of people don't like, but I actually do enjoy it because I think in this, for at least this, this film, it works. Like I know it doesn't work if you tried to tie that in with other timelines, but for at least a sequel to the original, I think it works. Because I think it makes sense, and I like that they have Michael and Laurie as brother and sister, and they reveal that because it makes sense then why he would be going after her all the time, you know, and why he was trying to target her. He wanted to kill his family, and and I that's why I like that aspect. I at least personally like it, and just I like a lot of the just that other character. I forgot what his name was, but that character that Laurie was talking to in the hospital, the one that was just like he kind of you can tell he kind of liked her, but he didn't say anything, and he kind like he at the end of the film he like slips on like a pile of blood and he like lands on his face or something and he gets knocked out. Which that was just a weird scene, but I liked that. I liked his character. And just the film as a whole, it was very entertaining. Although it did feel kind of like a slow burn at times, but I think the film as a whole was really enjoyable. Good acting, good characters, dialogue, and everything. And it's a very enjoyable film to me. So Halloween 2 is in fifth place for me. This is where I rank it. Now, Halloween 4. Halloween 4, I was struggling to even, place Halloween 2 and 4. I was kind of like flipping back and forth between them. But honestly, I enjoy Halloween 4 a lot. And, I honestly think it's an underrated sequel. It's an underrated movie in this franchise. It's very enjoyable to me. Um, I put it above Halloween 2 just because I think it had more action and more stuff going on compared to Halloween 2. Like I feel like, with Halloween 2, there wasn't that much that didn't go on until, like the second to, third act of the film. So that's why with Halloween 4, I enjoy it. I love the character of Jamie, and played by Danielle Harris, and Rachel, of course. Which I like I said, I hated that they killed her off in Halloween 5, but I loved her character as well. Michael Myers was scary, was brutal, but yeah, I think the whole this film was the best out of the Thorn trilogy. and it sucks that they ruined it with 5 and 6. But I mean, this film, if anything, didn't even. It shouldn't have even been categorized and put into the Thorn trilogy. I feel like 5 and 6 should be its own thing, and 4 should be like a standalone film. I think it would work better that way. But I mean, whatever. I don't know. But I think Halloween 4 is it's a very good film. Good acting, good characters, good dialogue, and just the only thing I really don't like about this movie though is just the freaking the Michael Myers mask. Like Michael Myers, his mask just looks it looks freaking weird. Like it literally looks like a freaking chimpanzee or a gorilla. Like like his mask just looks so like I don't know. It looks all like just all like droopy. Like I don't know. Like his mask is just terrible. Like but I still think the Halloween 5 mask was worse, and the Rob Zombie Halloween 2 mask, and I still think those masks were worse, and and the H2O mask. I think that mask was pretty bad too. Even though I enjoyed that movie, but the H2O mask was pretty bad as well. But the Halloween 4 mask was pretty bad as well, though. I think that was one of the things that just kind of threw me off. But I think the film as a whole is very good. I think it's a very entertaining movie. Halloween 4 is like a very watchable Halloween movie for me. So that's why it's in my top 5. So Halloween 4 is in my fourth place. Third place, Halloween H2O. Now Halloween H2O, this film, I absolutely love it. This like I remember, you know, always watching it as a kid. This is like the film that I probably rewatched the most before another film that is in second place came out. But up until then, this was my favorite sequel, and I remember watching it so much as a kid. And it's a very good film. Good characters. I like the character of Laurie's son, and the girlfriend, and LL Cool J, and what they call it, just like Laurie's character and how her depiction of trauma and how she's struggling with that all these years later, which I honestly think it was done way better than the Blumhouse trilogy with Halloween 2018 and Kills, because I felt like in 2018 and Kills, like the way they tried to show Laurie's trauma, it just felt so over exaggerated in my opinion, and it just didn't make sense. Um, like like just the way she was, just the way her character was shown in the her trauma in 2018 and Kills. I think it was I just didn't really enjoy it as much. But I think in H2O, the way they showed Laurie's trauma and how she's dealing with it, I think it was done very well. So I really enjoy it personally, and just Michael, his essence, his presence. Like I said, I don't like the mask, but I love the kills in the movie. They killed Miss Marion Chambers again, like they did in Halloween Kills, but I still think. Oh, my bad, guys. Freaking, my phone just went out for a second. freaking, I don't even know what happened. But anyways, H2O, just the overall, the characters, the dialogue, the whole story, and how Michael Myers going after Laurie, the fight at the end with Michael and Laurie was just fantastic. Like I swear, man, they should have just left it there and never made Resurrection. Like Resurrection was just man, it just makes me mad just thinking about it. But H2O was the perfect continuation, and it should have been ended there. And it's a very good movie, and it has a Scream vibe to it as well because Kevin Williamson actually wrote H2O. And I think the movie is just very good. It's entertaining, and that's why it's in third place for me. But in second place would have to be 2018. Now, this movie is very high up on my list. It's in second place. I enjoy it, more than Kills and Ends, but I think it's the best out of the whole Blumhouse trilogy, the David Gordon Green trilogy. But I like I said, I still really like Kills. Ends not so much, but this movie ranks up so high because it's just I think it was a very good comeback to this franchise after Rob Zombie's Halloween and Resurrection. I felt like they kind of just ruined Halloween. We all, as fans, got worried that this franchise would be ruined forever. Then David Gordon Green, he comes and he makes Halloween 2018, and us as fans, we were all happy because this film felt like a Halloween film. It was a great introduction to Laurie's character, and Allison and Karen, and just the whole you know it was very action packed, but it wasn't fully just about the kills. It was like a perfect balance of just like balancing the characters and the plot and the kills. And I think 2018 was just it was a good comeback movie to this franchise, and I really enjoyed it. And it's probably the Halloween movie I watched the most after the original, so that's why it's in second place for me. And the ending fight with Michael and Laurie and Karen and Allison, bro, that was just fantastic, like brilliant. Like they honestly did not even need to. They could have just ended it there, honestly. But man, like that film, just the film as a whole, just I just love Halloween 2018, and it sucks that Kills and Ends weren't as good. Even if I did enjoy Kills, but it sucks that the sequels to this movie weren't as good. But man, 2018 is just fantastic. Very good film, very good acting, dialogue, cinematography, kills, everything. The Michael Myers mask was good for once, after so long. Um, and yeah, I think Halloween 2018 is just a good film overall. Um, but the original would obviously have to be, number one would obviously have to be the original Halloween, 1978. I mean, I felt like everyone's gonna have this movie as their number one. This movie changed the slasher genre forever. It literally created, like yes, there was slashers that came before that, but Halloween just changed it to another level, and just it really did, change the horror genre forever, and it inspired so many films that came after it. Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode was good. The characters, Michael Myers as Essence, and the stalking. That the stalking element was kind of lacking in all, in the sequels of this franchise, but the stalking in the original was just done so well. Like you can feel that that tension building and that creep factor lurking, just always within you when watching this film, and all the way until the ending when Laura and Michael finally encounter each other, and they and it builds up all the way to that part. And then that's when you're like, oh shoot, this is where it's all at. But the way it builds up the suspension to that, the tension and all that, it was done very well. And this movie will always be a masterpiece to me. So Halloween 78, well, it'll always be the best to me. And I'm sure everyone's gonna have this movie as their number one as well. So yeah, this is my ranking of the Halloween franchise. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below about my rankings of this franchise. Let me know if you guys agree with some of them or disagree. Let me know your personal rankings in the comments below. And yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. This video is probably already long as hell, but I mean, I had fun with this. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. And I'm most likely going to do more rankings later on, but I felt like I had to do this one eventually. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about this video. Like and subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.